Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 53 units of real estate and help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So if someone asked me a question, which I made a video before, but will AI replace pharmacists? So I've been a pharmacist in California since 2013. So it's about 12 years going on 13 years. I've been in pharmacy leadership for the past 8 years where I hire pharmacists and techs and fired pharmacists and techs. So I've kind of seen the gamut, and I can at least speak to California. But I think in California in general, it's a little bit oversaturated in terms of pharmacists. They opened up so many pharmacy schools in California. Like back in the day, there's only 3 main pharmacy schools, UOP, which is where I went, USC, and then UCSF. But I think now there's like 12 different pharmacy schools to 15 that opened up, and because there was a pharmacist boom and a pharmacist shortage. But now that I think in general, like pharmacy is not as seen in a positive light because there's just so much competition now. Like the quality of pharmacy students have definitely declined in the past because there's just so many schools now. Like there's a school where they have 80 seats and they have 80 applicants. So the school wants to be financially viable. What are they going to do? They're just going to offer everybody an offer to go to their school because they just want to fill the seats unless they go bankrupt, right? That's the alternative. So like because of that, I have seen like the quality of pharmacists kind of go down over the years. And some of it was due to COVID, some of it was due to maybe it's just oversaturation of so many schools. And there's not as many jobs now, right? Like we all seen the articles where like Rite Aid's going bankrupt, CVS is closing stores, Walgreens are closing stores, Amazon's doing a mail order pharmacy, Mark Cuban's doing a mail order pharmacy, right? Like that's where the trend is going. So there's fewer, retail pharmacist jobs. And in the hospital setting, there's something called tech check tech, where you have a pharmacy technician who gets paid 1/3 the pharmacist, and they just check each other, and it's good to go. Right? So like if you can just have 2 technicians, it's still like, let's say each technician is $30 an hour and a pharmacist is $90 an hour. Like you could have 2 technicians do the same work almost at 2/3 the cost or at 1/3 cheaper because you're saving $30. So you have to reallocate the pharmacist to do something more clinical and cognitive, right? But that's where it goes where can AI replace that? So a lot of what pharmacists do, like yes, we have a computer system like electronic health record where it does tell you, hey, this patient's on this drug, these 2 drugs, there's an interaction potentially. What do you want to do? But obviously as AI gets more fancy, as these electronic health records adopt AI, like a lot of things can be caught without a pharmacist needing, right? So like I think AI will affect a pharmacist's position. Maybe they won't need as many pharmacists to operate a hospital. Maybe they don't need as many pharmacists to operate a retail pharmacy. I foresee that happening, right? But on the flip side of that token, like if that were to happen, they will just probably elevate the scope of what a pharmacist can do, right? It's like right now, pharmacists are not considered providers because, it's not built into Medicare, Medi-Cal. But like if, let's just say like pharmacy technicians are elevating their status where, maybe you have a robot punching out the pills in let's say a Walgreens, you have one technician check it, a second technician check it, and you have a remote pharmacist who is doing the consultation, right? Or you can have an AI robot do the consultation for you, right? Like a computer screen of a robot, and then if there's any questions, those questions can be funneled to an actual live pharmacist. Potentially, right? And in the hospital setting, if more things are allocated to technicians, you could have an AI verify those orders as well as a pharmacist eventually, right? It can get to that point. But where maybe the pharmacist provides the most value is like, there's like a code situation, the pharmacist is there, to compound the IVs. Obviously robots can compound IVs, like stuff that goes in your veins, in your body. But robots can do that, but someone needs to check it. Someone needs to calibrate that robot. So I kind of do foresee as technology advances, there being less of a need for pharmacists. But at the same time, hopefully what goes in conjunction is the scope of a pharmacist is elevated so that maybe a pharmacist can diagnose, maybe a pharmacist can prescribe, right? They become actual providers, like an NP, like a nurse practitioner, like a physician assistant, right? They can diagnose and they can prescribe under a limited scope under a provider, and I'd hope pharmacists can do the same, right? So if that change doesn't happen, then yes, I could see like pharmacists being replaced by AI, and there's less of a need for pharmacists because, obviously we're expensive, right? Pharmacists are not cheap. So that's kind of like one thought that I have. But on the flip side too, like thanks to me being a pharmacist, like we're very detail oriented, we're very system oriented. It translates very well to other businesses, right? Like I've built 53 units of real estate. I've managed renovations from afar. I've managed contractors from afar, remotely, right? Because I'm very systems and detail oriented. So it translates to other aspects of life as well. So to kind of summarize all that, sorry for my huge tangent. Like I would say in California, like if I were to apply pharmacy school today in California and want to practice in California, my answer would probably be no. I wouldn't want to be a pharmacist, given two reasons. Number one is it's saturated. So that's the obvious reason right now. And number two is, yes, there is potential for AI to replace us, right? And it's mostly going to be in the hospital setting. And then also maybe the retail setting. Like I said, like you need a consultation for, this antibiotic. You can have AI, pharmacist tell you a basic consultation. You can ask it some questions and then it could answer for you, right? And at that point, like you'll need a pharmacist in Walgreens and CVS. And so between the saturation and potential for AI replacement, I wouldn't do it today. But in other areas, so let's just call it, if you live in Nevada or Oklahoma, Alabama, maybe there's a shortage of pharmacists. There's not as many pharmacy schools, in which case it may be worth it to be a pharmacist in those areas still, right? So it depends like where you live. And, I will say, like from my experience, like hospitals are the slowest to adopt new technology, right? like I'll be honest, like if AI, unless Epic and Cerner, which are the big two that have electronic health records, like adopt AI, like it's so slow, right? Like they're the slowest to go. So I think I'm still good in terms of a job, right? But I'm building other streams of income, right? And I plan on retiring in the next 5 years. So I'm not worried about that. But something like long term, like yes, I do think it will be obsolete, especially like in California. So that's something to take in consideration. Like, like software engineers were like the hottest thing. And then now a lot of software engineers, if you're not like top of the top, like you're being replaced by AI literally, because like they can get AI to do basic coding. But if you're like a top end software engineer, obviously you still make money, you still make killing, right? In terms of that financially. So that's just kind of like something that I've been like thinking about, right? So like would I do it today? Probably not. Like you're going to come out with, especially in California, this is your California situation. If you want to work at the hospital, you're going to spend 4 years undergraduate, maybe 3 years. If you go to UOP at UCSF, they have a 3-year program. You're going to come out with $300,000 of student debt. You're going to work as a resident typically for a year or two, getting paid $50,000. So you're taking a $100,000 pay cut per year, and your interest on your loans will compound still. So now, let's say you did a 1-year residency, you made $50,000, you gave up $100,000. You graduate, you're going to work in a hospital, and you're going to start at the bottom, right? You're going to be a graveyard pharmacist. You're going to be working PM shift every other weekend. It's not as lifestyle oriented, right? Like, I'll be honest, right? Because you work like 4/10s if you're lucky, so you have 3 days off, or 5/8, so which you get 2 days off, right? I work 5/8. Some pharmacists work 4/10s. Some hospitals do 3/12s, like nursing, but that's more rare. If you work for like LA General, which is the county hospital, they do 3/12s. I would love to do 3/12s and I have 4 days off to do whatever I want, right? I hate 5/8s if I were to pick, because I want to spend my time doing other things, right? Not to say I can't go there in the future, right? If I want to become a regular pharmacist. And then from there, you're going to have $300,000 of student debt. And then on top of that, it's super competitive because there's so many schools here, and dwindling number of jobs, right? And then on top of that, you're forced to live in a high cost living area, right? So like LA average home is $1 million. Bay Area average home is about $1.5 million. And luckily LA pays the same as the Bay Area now. So my money goes further in LA than it did in the Bay Area, making the same money because it's cheaper here. So, and then there's a potential of like, obviously, things getting more efficient. A lot of cuts to Medi-Cal with the new bill. So, I expect that to affect more pharmacies during this administration. And obviously next administration, it might reverse or pivot. But it is a risk of, being replaced by AI. So I guess to me, if you're able to diagnose and do all that, diagnose like doctors, it's probably harder to replace a doctor. Like maybe a radiologist can be replaced with AI, probably the first one, but like a surgeon, a little bit harder. But obviously you have to want to do it, right? Like you can't just go to medical school because like it pays better. Like you have to want to do it because it's a huge sacrifice that I wasn't willing to make. Like for me, I'd rather just become a pharmacist and then invest in real estate, which I did, and enjoy my life now and build wealth versus be tied to my physician job, right? I know a lot of physicians where they retired from being a doctor with real estate after all the years of education. So yeah, that's something to consider. So kind of summarize all this in California, definitely not. I would not want to be a pharmacist, go to pharmacy school in California because of the student loans, because of dwindling jobs, potential to get replaced by AI. But if you're in a different state where there's no oversaturation, then maybe it's a viable option, right? So if you're willing to be in Arizona and there's a shortage of pharmacists in Arizona, then by all means do it, right? So that's just something to factor in. So California, I would say a hard no. Other state, potentially open. So anyways, hopefully you found value from this video. Hopefully I answered your question. Let me know what questions you have. I usually don't do pharmacist content as much. But otherwise, if you want to join my school community, there's a free trial, and that's $1 a day. You can click on my link tree for that link. If you want one-on-one coaching, mentorship, click on my link tree as well. You can also send me an email from that link tree. And if you want a quote from Steadily, look at the pinned comment. Get a quote on your landlord insurance to see if you can save some money. If you can, great. If not, oh well. At least you know your current policy is good. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.